Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Underdog episode. Today we got ourselves Season 3, Episode 9, The Sun May Set. This place takes place a little bit after Revenant, so probably, not too far away. Some time has passed, and Dylan is resting on a couch by the medical bed, and Jake walks over to him sitting next to him.
I thought you had healing powers.
I did. Some of the powers just went away. Jake pats his legs looking around the warehouse. You should go check on Zara.
Why don't you?
Dylan sighs and puts his hands up to his bandaged shoulder. I can't.
You can't avoid her forever.
I'm not avoiding you. You're her best friend. A beat. But I should.
It would do some good. Maybe you guys can fully talk for once.
Dylan rolls his eyes.
How's your shoulder?
Dylan lifts his shoulder, showing it to Jake. It's alright. Dylan puts his hands on the armrest and gets up off the couch groaning.
Try not to make things more awkward.
Dylan smirks and walks towards the exit, leaving the warehouse. Jake sits there and rotates his body, resting his head on the other headrest, falling asleep. It cuts to Dylan knocking on a brown wood door. After standing there a while, in the shivering cold, the door opens and Zara is standing there with eye bags under her eyes. You know it's 1 a.m., right? I know, I just wanted to check up on you. Zara steps back, opening the door for Dylan to come in. He walks in and closes the door behind him. Zara walks to her living room and sits down in a chair with the fire crackling in the background. Dylan sits across from her and looks around the room before back at Zara. So what happened? He followed me. You wanted him to. His words are more a statement than a question. Yeah. Dylan nods. Let me guess, you want to know why? Dylan shakes his head. I know why. I want to kill him too. Is he buried? Not yet. Zara's face twitches and she kisses her eye. Why? He will be. Just a lot going on right now. Zara rubs her hand on the back of her neck. Do you want something to drink? Dylan smiles and it cuts back to the warehouse where everyone is sleeping except Atlas, who is sitting on the edge of his pull-out bed, bouncing his leg up and down, staring at the wall. He gets up and rubs his face before walking down the stairs and putting on a coat. He exits the building and starts to go on a walk. He steps on the cracked pavement as he goes along the overgrown shrubbery. He's not just on any walk, though. He's taking certain turns until he begins cutting through the forest. He's ducking under and stepping over logs and leaves before reaching something. An overgrown manhole. He bends over and lifts it up, the loud creaks filling the dense forest. It cuts to the bottom of the ladder of the manhole and Atlas is climbing down it. He steps off onto the brick flooring and starts to explore the sewer. After some twists and turns, he finds a hallway to Lotus's base. He looks down the hallway. It's dark, with no sign of light coming through it. He enters it, and it cuts to black before cutting back to the warehouse to an alarm clock showing the time as 8:12 a.m. Alan is lying all sprawled out on his bed, slowly waking up, rubbing his eyes, and checking the clock. He rolls over, sitting on the bed with his legs hanging over the side. He looks around to see Miranda and Jake sleeping. He squints, noticing Atlas isn't there, but just shrugs it off, figuring he just left for this house. He slowly gets up and stretches his back, wincing slightly from the Lotus interaction yesterday. He walks past the other beds, including the ones with Jake and Miranda on them. He goes to the metal stairs and starts to descend them, going into the main area. He walks to the corner and opens a mini fridge that has Underdog branded stickers on it, making him scoff. Inside, he finds a pack of 3 apples, a pack of sodas, and a bottle of water. He shakes his head, closing the fridge, stepping away from it, going to the main console and tapping into it, waking it up. He starts to type, looking up the news. While browsing the news, he hears footsteps coming down the stairs. He turns around, seeing Jake coming down. Hey.
What's up?
Jake sits on another chair next to the console and looks over to Alan. Morning. Jake spins around in his chair.
Why'd you come here?
I'm not really sure yet. Jake raises an eyebrow, looking away from Alan.
Some people need a better reason than that. Soon you're gonna have to prove that you deserve a spot here.
Alan nods his head, biting his fingernail. No one seems to mind. Jake turns and glares at Alan.
If Atlas dies, Dylan will be pissed at you.
Alan looks at Jake, running his tongue along his teeth nervously. I figured. Alan gets up and brushes off his body. I should get going.
Yeah, you should.
Alan walks away, glancing at Jake one more time before exiting out the front door. Outside, Dylan is walking past and moving to the side as Alan isn't stopping for anybody. Dylan gets to the door and opens it, going inside. He goes up to Jake. What's up with him? Jake shrugs.
Not sure.
Dylan's eyebrows furrow slightly and he nods walking away. Jake sits there contemplating about Alan. He rolls his chair to the console and looks at it before beginning to type on it. They cut to Dylan, who's walking up the steps, and Miranda, who's sitting on the edge of her bed. Dylan leans on the railing. Hey. How are you? I should be asking you. I'm fine. Some of my healing power stuck around, I guess. Miranda smiles at Dylan. So Lotus, dead for sure? Dylan looks down at his feet. Bottom of an icy lake? Sounds dead to me. I might just be paranoid, but are you sure? Sure? Dylan leans off the railing, chuckling. Don't sweat. We're good. Miranda swallows as Dylan goes back down the steps, going back to Jake. She stands up and watches the two talking over the railing. It cuts to Miranda walking to Dylan. Do you know where Alan lives? Dylan turns from his conversation with Jake to Miranda. Geez, I think he's just been staying here. Miranda sighs and looks around the warehouse. Anywhere I could find him? Dylan's eyes widen in thought. Well... It cuts to a navy blue lightning streak running in circles on the track. It cuts to one of the metal gates on the perimeter with footsteps approaching it as Miranda in a black jacket and gray pants walks up to it, slinging it open. She walks to the edge of the track and crosses her arms as Alan just keeps running in circles. The zooms of his running piercing the air. Finally, he stops spinning in a circle before collecting himself and bending over, writing on a notepad. Miranda, right? Miranda steps onto the track towards Alan. You know who I am. Alan does a sharp turn with the pencil and sets it down atop the notepad. Why'd you come out here? To interrogate me? Miranda squints her eyes and shakes her head in confusion. What? No. Listen, you and Dylan, you killed Lotus, right? Alan passed the sweat off his head with a rag before placing it down. So you are here to interrogate me. Look, you know what happened. He's a robot deep in water. Those two don't mix well. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. Alan shifts his way to the cart with the notepad on it, cocking his head slightly. So why are you out here asking? Miranda takes a deep breath, repositioning herself. Something just doesn't sit right with me. The lake's not going anywhere. We could check it out. Miranda stuffs her hands in her pockets, nodding. Because of the frozen lake, as Miranda and Alan are walking up to it, the prints in the snow still visible from the battle, and the break in the ice. Miranda steps onto the ice, setting herself, slipping a bit. Careful! Worth it to find a robot's corpse? Miranda peers down into the hole in the ice, seeing what's visible at the bottom of the lake. I don't see shit down there. Alan gets a little surprised, but plays it off as a joke. Real funny. If you think a missing killer robot is funny, then laugh away. Alan's brows furrow, and he uneases, walking towards Miranda on the ice, looking down in the hole as well. The camera goes to right above the hole, showing the empty water. Damn. It cuts to Jake and Dylan talking with the front door in the background. Eventually, it opens and Miranda and Alan are rushing in. Both Jake and Dylan look at them, they're showing concern. What's going on? Lotus is gone. Jake looks at Miranda and then at Alan for a moment too long before looking back at Miranda. What the hell? Dylan walks backwards, putting his hand over his mouth. Miranda walks up to him and starts talking, but the camera goes to Jake and Alan standing across from each other.
You didn't have anything to do with this, did you?
Seriously?
I'm more serious than a sinking ship, Alan. What makes you think we can trust you?
God, you're just a paranoid freak. What have I done to you?
You tried to kill us, and you're already killing Atlas.
Alan's angry presence fades a bit as he sighs and looks at the ground. That was a while ago. I went through the ringer after y'all sent me back. The friends I had, which was a little amount, they're gone. Jake barely seems to care.
You're not the only one who's had it rough, damn it.
Alan just stands there, unsure what to respond with. He turns around and starts to walk away again.
Yeah, walk away. Every time.
Alan stops and he turns back around. If I was who I was then, I'd attack you right now. My hand would be clean through your chest. He raises his arms laterally. You see me doing that? Jake stands there, his face still showing anger. You're a mess. Trying to solve problems that aren't even there. Dylan walks up beside Jake. Would you guys stop? They both ease slightly at Dylan's interference. What the hell is the matter? Silence fills the room as a moment before Alan speaks up. I was just headed out. You're not going anywhere. All hands on deck. Alan and Jake both huff before Alan walks past Dylan and Jake. Dylan turns to Jake. Any further explanation? Jake shakes his head silently, making Dylan sigh and shake his head in addition. Dylan pulls out his phone and dials Zara. It cuts to Zara, who's still sleeping, her phone on the table starting to ring and making her wake up and answer it. Hello? You planning on coming to the warehouse? Zara looks around her bed and starts to getting up, rubbing her eyes. Yeah, I was just making breakfast. Zara gets out of her bed and folds the covers over the pillow. Alright, see you. Zara sets her phone down and walks to her door and goes to the bathroom and the door closes. It cuts to her mirror brushing her teeth and flossing. She goes to her dresser and opens a drawer with only a few shirts in it. She pulls out a black print t-shirt. It cuts to her closing the front door outside with snow fresh on the ground. She gets in the car and sighs before starting up her car and reversing out of the driveway. She starts to ride down the road and decides to turn on the radio. Hello, folks. Good morning from the NYNS. And today we have an interesting story. Yes, we do, Kent. Yes, we do. Supposedly that humanoid robot with tentacles on his back, he died in a lake. Authorities checked CCTV and Underdog and what appears to be FaZe both attacked Flotus and dropped him into a frozen lake. Zara turns up the radio slightly as she keeps cruising. Thank God we have superheroes protecting us. Couldn't have said it better myself. Now let's hear about the raccoon army that was in Central Park. Zara rolls her eyes and turns off the radio and pulls into the driveway of the warehouse. She gets out, locks her car, and opens the warehouse door, seeing everybody standing around by themselves. I've heard Lotus died. Everyone turns to her, but Miranda decides to speak up. Well, what you've heard is wrong. Miranda goes up to Zara, and Zara squints her eyes. What's that mean? He's somewhere out there again. Seriously? Unfortunately. Zara steps away from Miranda and up to the main console, where there's pictures of the CCTV cameras by the lake. Jake is watching keenly at the screen. We've been staring at the screen for like 30 minutes now. Dylan stops in front of the screen, and Zara stops beside him, crossing her arms. Why don't you skip ahead? You want him to get away again? Zara looks at Dylan, who's consumed by the screen, so she turns and squints her eyes again and starts counting everybody in the room. Jake, 1. Dylan, 2. Alan, 3. Miranda, 4. Hey, where the hell is Atlas? Dylan turns to the panicked Zara with a relaxed look on his face. He wasn't here in the morning. Probably just went home to his dad. You tell him to come? Dylan nods and turns the attention back to the screen. Zara, however, doesn't get relaxed, but she tries to hide it. She goes to the couch and sits down, resting back, starting to slowly doze off. Through her sleep, she sometimes wakes up and sees the team watching the screen, then dozing again, then seeing them walking around talking, then dozing again. Finally, somebody wakes her up. It's Dylan. Hey, we got something. Zara's eyes fully open, and she looks around, seeing the team in suit and some walking out the door. She gets up and stretches. What'd you find? You know that base you and Jake found? Turns out he has a secondary one. That's where he is. Cuts to Dylan bent over with his hands prying open a manhole cover, the same one Atlas opened earlier. After pulling for a few seconds, he finally gets it up and slides it to the side, dusting his hands off. Alright, I'm going down. I'll say if it's safe. Dylan turns away from the team and at the dark hole. He starts to descend the ladder and steps off onto the sewer floor looking around. He motions to Jake, who's watching from above, to come down. It cuts to the team walking down the halls in a straight line until reaching the orange and white hallway. Dylan looks back at the team. This is it. Dylan starts to go down the hallway with everyone following him except Alan, who's staying back on lookout. Each step down in the hallway feels like it takes years, until they finally reach the end of the hallway. The door was ajar. They could hear some ruckus going on behind the door. Dylan looks back before willing open the door, filling the room with a loud sound. And Dylan steps in, looking at the gap between the floor of the hallway and the floor of the room. He looks up and... drip, drip, drip. Tears begin to cluster in Dylan's eyes beneath the mask as he stands there looking. Lotus is standing there, two of their tentacles holding something. The tears start to run down Dylan's cheeks as the team stands behind him. Jake holding them back from rushing Lotus. Lotus's other tentacle, stained with a red liquid. The same liquid that's dropping off of it, blood. Only a few feet to the right of it was Atlas. An equally bloody hole ripped through his stomach. A clean cut. Lotus looks at Dylan before activating thrusters on his feet and blasting off, breaking the ceiling of the room. We let him go! Miranda tries to rush inside, but Jake holds her back.
For God's sake, Miranda!
Oh, would you guys... Dylan steps forward, his surroundings phasing out. His sight blurry from tears. He steps to Alice's lifeless corpse on the ground and kneels down. What the hell, man? Dylan pulls off his mask, his face streaked with tears. He scans Alice's body up and down for any sign of life. This couldn't be happening. Dylan flops his upper body on Atlas before he begins to sob. Gosh! Dylan sighs and tries to wipe some tears away with the back of his hand. After the attempt to recollect himself, he puts his arms under Atlas's body and picks him up. He takes a deep breath before beginning to walk towards the hallway, making the argument stop as they look in. Sadness, despair, regret, as Dylan possesses them. Dylan reaches the end of the hallway and Alan turns to him about to ask if it's clear, but sees Alice in his arms and just stares with worry. Dylan goes to the ladder and just levitates out of the sewer, landing on the fluff snow. He looks at Atlas again, memorizing everything about him, before flying off slowly, the body still in hand. Atlas is dead.